alcohol reliant, I didn't have any attention, right? A bee would fly near me, I'd freak out, I'd panic, I'd smash it because my nervous system was shot. I lived on the edge of my window of tolerance. I wasn't present, I wasn't safe. And that is what alcohol does. It shrinks your world to a pinhole of survival. You stop seeing the nuance, the beauty of life, the joy. You stop being here in the moment. I have a confession to make, strivers. I used to kill bees. Not every bee, but if one flew near me while I was having a drink of my Magnus cider, or I was hungover lying in bed and it flew through the window, or I was anxious, or I was wired, I would freak the fuck out. I didn't care what I was doing, I would just squash it dead. And it wasn't just bees, it was anything that pushed me over the edge of my window of tolerance. Noise, people, traffic. I was a reaction machine. But today, when I see a bee, I breathe. I notice it, I respect it. And that is what today's episode is about. How giving up the booze made me somebody who pays attention, even to little bees. Zzz. Welcome to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. My name is LeeDavy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people to do the same, like today on International Don't Step on a Beeday. I bet this isn't one that you have in your calendar, right? But let's not buzz around it. This is more about bees. What I want to talk about today, inspired by Do Not Step on a Beeday, is attention. Yes. And when I was alcohol reliant, I didn't have any attention, right? A bee would fly near me, I'd freak out, I'd panic, I'd smash it because my nervous system was shot. I lived on the edge of my window of tolerance. I wasn't present, I wasn't safe. And that is what alcohol does. It shrinks your world to a pinhole of survival. You stop seeing the nuance, the beauty of life, the joy. You stop being here in the moment. You stop paying attention. And back then, I didn't just ignore bees. I ignored people. I ignored my breath. I ignored the truth of how I felt. I wasn't present with myself. So how the fuck could I be present with anybody else? My wife, my son, my daughter, right? Even my cat. And here's the thing that caught me off guard when I quit drinking, when I became alcohol-free as fuck. My attention didn't just return, it returned magnified times 100. And it didn't happen overnight, okay? It slowly returned. I slowly noticed more inside my body, my mind, and my soul, and outside in the external world. My daughter's voice, the tension in my jaw, the look on somebody's face when they needed me to just be there for them. Not to fix them, not to speak, but to just stay present. And now, when I see a bee fluttering around my head, or is that a butterfly, buzzing around my head, I don't lose my shit. Okay, I don't. And that's not just sobriety. That is clarity and that is self. Now we're about to take a short break, but here is something I want you to reflect while we pause. What are you not noticing because your nervous system is too fried to care? And what truths have you trampled just trying to get through the day? Take a breath. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. And before the break, we were talking about International Don't Step on a Beeday and how the attention is the first domino to flick over in a self-led life. One of the 8 C's of self is clarity. Okay, so when you rise above the line, out of your past into self, that beautiful seat of consciousness that just knows nothing but love, you have access to a greater sense of clarity. And clarity needs space. Okay, it needs space to breathe, to live, okay, to give you a bright lens to which to view the world through. But alcohol takes up all of that space. It crowds your mind with static. It blurs that lens. It makes you defensive, reactive, closed off to yourself and to the world around you. But when you strip it away, when you become alcohol free as fuck, you start to notice things, little things, like a bee buzzing by, like the child's tone of voice, like a part inside whispering, don't fuck this up. That is awareness. And I got to say, it's the beginning of everything, because when you start to pay attention, you really start to feel in your body. You really start to hear your thoughts. You really start to raise your line awareness, discerning between whether you are below the line in parts energy or above the line in self. You start to pause before you pounce, and you realize that you don't actually have to squash every discomfort. You don't need to kill every fly that comes buzzing in through your window. Sometimes you just need to open the window and let it out. And attention doesn't mean perfection. Just the other night, there was a fly in my room buzzing around and I couldn't sleep and I ended up killing it instead of letting it out the window. Okay. But the difference is now I see these things. I see the bees, the flies, the bugs, right? And that presence, that form of love is really important because it gives you a sense of control. Alcohol, it just ends up in madness and chaos and a loss of control. You cannot control anything. When you slow the fuck down and you pay attention to things, you feel more in control, right? So on this, do not step on a beeday. Don't just watch where you're walking, watch where your mind goes, watch where your energy leaks, and watch how alcohol keeps you numb, and then choose to pay attention again. Today's daily vow. Today, I will not drink because I choose to live with attention, not on autopilot, and I will not step on the truth. Pause and answer these questions as you go about your day today. Where in your life are you reacting instead of responding? Who around you needs your presence, your attention, not your solutions? And what do you miss when you're on the edge? What bees are you stepping on in life? Have a think about that today. That's all I have time for you today. As you go about the world today, just pay attention to the bees. And I'm talking metaphorically, right? Pay attention to the bees. Just do that for me today and see how you get on, okay? If you really enjoyed this show, please rate and review it so other strivers can find it. So the algorithm says, oh, this is worth listening to because this person just said it's worth listening to. It will really, really help me. If you want to talk to me about anything, ask me questions about anything, Strive Foundations, Liquid Light ebook, working with me one-on-one, just email me at thestrivemethod@gmail.com and I will respond to every single one of them. Okay, are you ready to take the sovereign vow with me today? One heart on your chest, one on your belly, big deep breath. Just repeat after me. I am a striver who is alcohol free as fuck, and I will not drink today because that is not what I do and that is not who I am. Much love, everybody. Strive on, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another episode of the 1000 Days Sober Podcast. Mwah. Bzzz.